The coronation of King Charles III was meant to be a big celebration of royal tradition and unity, but it took an unexpected twist when Charlotte dropped a royal bombshell that nobody saw coming. As the ceremony went on, Camilla scolded Catherine, the Princess of Wales, leaving everyone stunned. But it was Charlotte's calm yet strong reaction that really stole the spotlight and changed the entire vibe of the day for the royal family. One thing became crystal clear. Things would never be the same, and the fallout was just getting started. This coronation was like no other. It mixed centuries-old royal traditions with a bit of modern flair. Held at Westminster Abbey, it was a historic moment where Charles finally became king after years of waiting in the wings. Dignitaries from all over the world gathered under the Abbey's towering arches, adding weight to the monarchy's role on the world stage. The golden crown sparkled in the candlelight as the Abbey echoed with hymns, making it feel like something straight out of a history book. Crowds cheered in the streets of London, and you could even hear their excitement from inside the Abbey as the royal procession marched in, all decked out in spectacular style. Leading the way were the Prince and Princess of Wales, with their 3 kids, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, all playing their part in the day's events. George had a role as one of the king's pages of honor. Charlotte looked graceful as ever, quietly stealing the spotlight, and little Louis did his best to stay serious for the occasion. But behind all the polished appearances, there was tension in the air. The royal family's recent past hasn't exactly been smooth sailing, and the coronation became the perfect stage for those hidden tensions to bubble up. Camilla, now crowned queen consort, was at the heart of the ceremony, a position some within the royal household weren't exactly thrilled about. The strain was clear in her interactions with Catherine, the Princess of Wales, from the very start. Royal insiders started to talk about how the power dynamics within the family had shifted, especially with Camilla's rise to power. Catherine, once seen as the future matriarch of the family, was now facing a whole new reality. Catherine seemed to be carefully balancing her role alongside the newly crowned queen consort, Camilla, as tensions between the two women became hard to ignore. Their interactions during the ceremony, marked by quick glances and sharp exchanges, hinted at underlying friction that even the regal setting couldn't mask. One particular moment stood out as the royal family made their way to their seats near the throne. Observers couldn't help but notice the noticeable distance between Camilla and Catherine, a silent reflection of the emotional gap many had suspected between them. Adding to the mix was young Princess Charlotte, who, despite all the attention on King Charles, managed to make her presence felt. But things were about to take an unexpected turn for her, as the events of the day would reveal a side of Charlotte few had seen before. Her royal bombshell would leave a lasting impression on this already historic occasion. As the ceremony reached a serious moment with King Charles seated on the throne, all eyes were on the royal family. But amid the grandeur, a whisper of tension rippled through the Abbey. Keen observers and lip readers noticed Camilla turn toward Catherine and say something while subtly gesturing toward Charlotte. The young princess had turned in her seat to glance behind her. To outsiders, this might have seemed like a minor, fleeting reprimand in the middle of a high-pressure event. But for those familiar with the royal family, it spoke volumes. Camilla's tone and body language suggested more than just a concern for decorum. They hinted at a quiet power struggle taking place beneath the Abbey's vaulted ceilings. Catherine's response was telling. She kept her composure, acknowledging Camilla's words with a polite nod. Then, with a gentle gesture, she redirected Charlotte's attention. Though Catherine handled the situation with grace, those close by noticed a brief flicker of tension in her eyes, a subtle but clear sign of strain. This wasn't the first time the relationship between Camilla and Catherine had come under scrutiny. Over the years, there had been whispers of subtle power struggles and differing priorities between them. Camilla's integration into the royal family had never been without its challenges. While she slowly earned public acceptance, her dynamic with other senior royals, especially Catherine, remained a topic of intrigue. One memorable moment took place during Queen Elizabeth II's funeral, when observers noticed Camilla allegedly scolding Catherine over Charlotte's behavior. After Charlotte cried out following a playful pinch from her brother, Prince George, lip readers claimed that Camilla firmly instructed Catherine to take her. Similar to what happened during the coronation, These brief moments painted a picture of a step-grandmother trying to exert authority in a way that may not have been well received. While the words exchanged during the coronation were subtle, the body language between Camilla and Catherine spoke volumes. Camilla, dressed in her regal robes, appeared confident yet firm, gesturing in a way that left little room for misinterpretation. Catherine, on the other hand, exuded quiet restraint. Those seated nearby could feel the immediate shift in atmosphere, sensing the significance of what had just unfolded. Prince William, seated next to Catherine, seemed momentarily distracted, his gaze flicking between his wife and daughter. While he maintained his stoic royal demeanor, the tension in his posture suggested that he, too, recognized the weight of the interaction. As the ceremony continued, the effect of the scolding lingered. Charlotte seemed to sense the gravity of the moment, and Catherine's subtle efforts to reassure her daughter didn't go unnoticed. But the question remained. Was this just a one-off incident, or was there a deeper, ongoing tension within the royal family? The tension between Camilla and Catherine had surfaced in a way that couldn't be ignored. While the coronation's grandeur remained intact, the scolding would not be easily forgotten. It set the stage for what would become the defining moment of the day, Charlotte dropping a royal bombshell that nobody, especially Camilla, could have predicted. As the entire world watched, the young princess would demonstrate that even the most insignificant voices within the royal family had the potential to leave an indelible mark on the legacy of the family. What followed Camilla's reprimand was nothing short of spectacular, and Charlotte's response to it was nothing less than extraordinary. It was seen that she maintained her poise and calmness while she looked at her mother. Charlotte did not attempt to hide from the spotlight or exhibit any symptoms of distress. Rather, she straightened her back in her seat and turned her attention forward. During the course of the ceremony, she made a deliberate adjustment to her posture and made eye contact with Camilla. The intensity of her face had weight, despite the fact that it was modest. Lip readers later speculated that Charlotte muttered to her mother, "It's fine, Mommy." Moments later, her answer would become much more prominent, as the family prepared to rise for a formal bow to the king. Charlotte's response would become considerably more pronounced. Charlotte took a careful pause, turned to face her mother, and spoke in a manner that was both soothing and clear. Lip readers were able to pick up on her remarks, which were, "I'll do it, but not for her." As she stood and executed the obligatory bow to King Charles, she made a point of avoiding acknowledging Camilla. These solitary actions caused shockwaves to travel throughout the abbey. A child's pause, which could have been viewed as a simple hesitation, was now interpreted as an intentional statement, especially when taking into consideration the prior reprimand the youngster had received. Charlotte's revelations about the royal family radically moved the spotlight away from the king's rise to power and onto the dynamics of the family that were taking place right in front of everyone. The incident was regarded as the quietest yet loudest statement I've ever witnessed by a senior diplomat. Another historian who was familiar with royal protocol referred to it as extraordinary. For an 8-year-old to act with such precision and awareness, she knew exactly what she was doing, and so did everyone else. Charlotte's poised disobedience became the primary topic of conversation throughout the day. In a household where rigorous protocol is the norm, her actions were subtle, but the message was plain. This is especially true in the context of the family. Her divergence from the right conveyed a powerful message, one that was not only heard within the abbey's walls, but also far beyond them. The manner in which the royal family responded to Charlotte's conduct was just as revealing as the occasion being discussed. Catherine reassured her daughter by placing a soothing hand on her shoulder and expressing her approbation and support in a non-verbal manner. On the other hand, Prince William appeared to be taken aback for a brief time, but he swiftly reverted back to his typical attitude of complete neutrality. Later on, it was reported by those with knowledge of the situation that William had referred to Charlotte as her mother's daughter. Camilla, on the other hand, appeared noticeably surprised when Charlotte skipped the bow. The normally self-assured posture of the queen consort began to falter. She cast a glance in Catherine's direction, probably anticipating some type of intervention, but none came. Camilla, on the other hand, was left to reflect on the situation in complete silence. Her grin became more tense, and she hastily retreated from the table. The scene was regarded as a peek of the future by one of the guests, who was a close family friend of Wales. She described it as looking like a little girl who already understood her job and was not afraid to assert herself. It was pointed out by another individual that Charlotte's self-assurance was similar to that of her grandmother, Princess Diana. All of the journalists who were covering the event were completely enthralled. There was a royal writer who reported that Charlotte did not merely react to the event, rather, she took ownership of it. The footage of the occasion soon spread, and analysts studied Charlotte's every action. In a single gesture, she reminded everyone that even the youngest members of the family have a voice, the commentators said. Some people hypothesized that her actions were the product of her upbringing, given that Catherine and William had always instilled in their children the concept of critical thinking and the importance of acting with integrity. Some people believe that Charlotte's disobedience was an indication that she had a more profound understanding of the complexity that existed inside her family, which is a lot for an 8-year-old to take in. Not only did Charlotte's royal bombshell take the spotlight, but it also transformed the entire focus of the day and hinted at her potential future role within the monarchy. Charlotte demonstrated a courageous willingness to confront norms, which is important in a family where tradition frequently takes precedence over personal expression. It was not merely a child's reaction that was being discussed at this moment. Rather, it was a young girl who had the ability to alter the landscape of the royal family. Her calm and confident demeanor offered a fresh perspective on the day, which had been distinguished by an underlying tension that had been present throughout the activities. What could have been a day that was characterized by conflict turned out to be a demonstration of Charlotte's growing power, and in doing so, she hinted at the possibility that she could redefine what it means to be a royal in the reality of the modern world. Charlotte's position as second in line comes with its own set of expectations, despite the fact that her brother Prince George is on track to become the successor to the throne. She is well on her way to carving herself a unique role, one that combines tradition and uniqueness, as seen by the fact that she is able to manage the difficulties of royal life with grace. Following the coronation, topics of conversation regarding the future of the monarchy invariably swung back around to Charlotte to be discussed. Her activities at the ceremony demonstrated that leadership can take various forms, and that even the youngest members of the royal family have the ability to influence the direction that the family will take in the future. Due to the fact that she is the second child of Catherine and William, Charlotte holds a special and frequently challenging position within the royal family. Throughout history, royal spares have had a difficult time defining their position, and they have frequently been eclipsed by the heir to the throne. On the other hand, Charlotte's elegance and maturity give the impression that she is already putting her own course in motion. The subtle defiance that she displayed during the coronation was not merely a personal reaction, rather, it was an indication that she was becoming more aware of her position within the family. The fact that she was able to maintain her self-assurance despite being subjected to severe public scrutiny is evidence of the strong sense of self that her parents have fostered in her. Catherine, in particular, has been a significant contributor to Charlotte's continued development of self-assurance. However, the nature of Charlotte's relationship with Camilla appears to be less straightforward. The tie between them is not as warm as the one that is typically seen between grandparents and grandchildren, despite the fact that they have shared pleasant moments in public, such as during celebrations for King Charles's 70th birthday or other such occasions. It is possible that this gap, which was formed by the complicated history of the family and Camilla's subsequent entry into the royal fold, had a subtle impact on the dynamics that were at play during the coronation service. Charlotte's actions at the coronation made it very evident that she is subtly asserting her own claim in the royal narrative. Catherine, who is the Princess of Wales and will one day become the Queen Consort, holds one of the most prominent roles within the royal family. Due to the fact that Catherine is able to successfully juggle the responsibilities of royal tradition with those of a mother, she has become a very well-liked figure. However, her relationship with Camilla has frequently been the topic of a great deal of curiosity, particularly in light of the fact that Camilla's influence within the family has grown over the course of the past few years. In contrast to the traditional manner that royals typically take to parenting, Catherine has adopted a more contemporary approach. She places a high value on nurturing emotional connections, maintaining open lines of communication, and encouraging her children to express themselves. all while maintaining a healthy respect for the duties that come with their positions. This strategy was made abundantly obvious during the coronation, when she quietly soothed Charlotte without restraining her daughter's confidence. The fact that Catherine was able to respond calmly to Camilla's reprimand demonstrated her capacity to negotiate complex interpersonal dynamics efficiently. Catherine maintained her dignity and made certain that Charlotte's confidence was not shaken, all the while accepting Camilla's power as queen consort. Catherine's role has become characterized by the fact that she must strike a balance between adhering to royal procedure and advocating for her children. Throughout the course of history, her position within the royal family has been fraught with difficulty, particularly in consideration of both Camilla and King Charles. In her role as William's wife, she is a symbol of the future of the monarchy. Some individuals inside the institution believe that this position has occasionally caused Camilla, who has worked years building her own place in the institution, to feel a sense of tension. Each and every one of these dynamics was perfectly captured by the coronation. In contrast to Camilla's more forceful approach, Catherine's calm resilience stood out as a striking contrast. The path that Camilla has taken to acquire the position of queen consort has not been without obstacles. When she was a controversial figure, she exerted a lot of effort to win the respect and acceptance of the general population inside the royal family. Her marriage to Charles was a defining point in her life, but her ascent to the position of queen consort has not been without its difficulties, particularly in her interactions with senior members of the royal family. She seems to be making an effort to assert her dominance through her interactions with Catherine, which are frequently seen. In spite of the fact that some people interpreted her actions during the coronation as an attempt to keep order at a high-pressure event, others believed that she had gone too far, particularly in light of the fact that Catherine was already established as a mother and eventually the queen. In addition, the relationship that Camilla has with Charlotte sheds light on the difficulties that she has in her position within the family. Due to the fact that she is a step-grandmother, she has not been as involved in the raising of the Wales children as their biological grandparents have been. This potentially has an impact on the delicate dynamics that exist between them. A significant portion of the distancing that exists between Camilla and the younger members of the royal family, particularly George, Charlotte, and Louis, can be attributed to the family's profound reverence for the memory of Princess Diana. This inheritance has had a big impact on the manner in which she engages with them from a personal standpoint. It is impossible to get a complete understanding of the tension that existed during the coronation without taking into account the long-standing tensions that exist within the royal family, particularly those that are rooted in Diana's legacy. There is a significant presence of this shadow, particularly in the relationships that exist between Charles, Camilla, and William's family. Despite the fact that William and Catherine have made an attempt to protect Diana's memory for their children, it has unavoidably altered the way in which they deal with Camilla, who continues to play a role that many people consider to be controversial. In addition to this, the continued efforts of the monarchy to modernize have brought more pressure to the situation. The younger generation, which is seen to be very important for maintaining the relevance of the monarchy, is represented by William, Catherine, and their children. On the other hand, this emphasis on change frequently comes into conflict with the more traditional values that Charles and Camilla uphold, which results in tensions that are subtle but persistent within the family. A rare look into these underlying dynamics was provided to us by the incident during the coronation. The boldness of Charlotte, the level-headed strength of Catherine, and the sense of authority that Camilla possessed all contributed to this delicate balancing act. For Charlotte, it was a moment in which she was able to demonstrate that she was a young princess who was not nervous about expressing her opinions. For Catherine, it was evidence that she was able to safeguard her children while simultaneously navigating her own place within the institution of the royal family. As for Camilla, it brought to light the difficulties she encounters when attempting to exert her authority within a family in which connections are formed not only by the present but also by a complicated and at times distressing past. In addition to being about family, these ties between Charlotte, Catherine, and Camilla are about more than just family. They are a reflection of the difficulties and opportunities that the royal family must encounter in order to adjust to a world that is always changing. The revelation that Charlotte made about the royal family was not merely an act of rebellion in this setting. Rather, it was an indication of the shifting dynamics that will determine the destiny of the monarchy. During the time that she has been married to King Charles, Camilla has experienced her fair share of difficulties inside the royal family. Certain relationships continue to be characterized by conflicts, misunderstandings, and residual resentment, which indicate that tensions are still present. These disagreements are frequently concealed by royal formality, yet sometimes they come to the surface, providing a glimpse into the intricate web of relationships that exist within the family. One of the most persistent causes of contention has been Camilla's position as the second wife of King Charles, as well as the lingering influence of Princess Diana's legacy. This continues to be a touchy subject for a significant number of members of the royal family, as well as the general public. Despite the fact that Camilla's status as queen consort has been met with skepticism and hurdles, Diana continues to be an indispensable presence within the royal family. There have been reports that both Prince William and Prince Harry have had a difficult time reconciling their personal losses with Camilla's growing prominence. According to some who are familiar with the situation, William's connection with Camilla is, at most, formal, despite the fact that their public meetings with her have been friendly. It was said by one source that William voiced his reservations during the negotiations that took place regarding Charles's coronation. He was of the opinion that Diana's memory ought to have been given more recognition during the ceremonies. A significant amount of tension has been present in Camilla's relationship with Prince Harry, notably following the publication of his biography titled Spare. Harry refers to Camilla as the villain in the book, accusing her of spreading false information about him and Meghan Markle in the media in order to improve her own public image. Camilla was accused of creating bad reports about them. The public's attention was once again drawn to Camilla's media methods as a result of this charge. Harry asserted that her contacts with particular tabloids were responsible for the harm that was made to other members of the royal family. Despite the fact that Camilla has refuted the charges, the fallout has caused her relationship with Harry to experience a great deal of instability. Despite the fact that Camilla and Kate Middleton appear to be in harmony during public engagements, there have been times when friction has arisen behind the scenes in their relationship. Camilla is said to have criticized Kate's conduct of royal duties, stating that Kate was too restrained in her interactions with the public. This is one among the incidents that has been reported. As a result of the split that was caused by the statements, which Kate regarded to be unwelcome and too critical, it took some time for the rift to heal. Additionally, Camilla's influence over Charles's decisions has caused conflict, notably during the preparations for his coronation. This interference has been particularly problematic. According to reports, Camilla advocated for greater respect for members of her own family, which some people interpreted as putting William and Kate in a secondary position. According to reports, the Princess of Wales was irritated by this decision because she considered it to be a departure from the customs of the royal family. Camilla and Prince Andrew have had yet another unexpected disagreement that has emerged between them. Despite the fact that the Duke of York was already a contentious figure, it is said that he had multiple disagreements with Camilla, particularly regarding her promotion to the position of Queen Consort. In private conversations, Andrew is claimed to have expressed his opinion that Camilla's ascent to the job was detrimental to the legacy of his late mother, and he referred to her as being unsuitable for the role. On the other hand, Camilla is said to have regarded Andrew as a potential threat to the monarchy, particularly after his associations with Jeffrey Epstein brought about a taint to his reputation. An additional illustration of the complicated and frequently tense relationships that exist within the royal family is provided by the fact that even Camilla's relationship with Princess Anne has not been without challenge. There have been reports that Princess Anne has expressed skepticism on Camilla's influence within the royal family members. Anne is said to have rejected some of Camilla's suggestions during a conversation about the modernization of royal traditions. She is quoted as saying, "We've been doing this for centuries. It's not going to change now." This resistance has resulted in a noticeable distance between the two women, despite the fact that they both have a commitment to supporting King Charles. Camilla's efforts to bring about change are in stark contrast to Anne's more traditionalist beliefs. which highlights the constant friction that exists between the old guard and the new generation when it comes to the monarchy. Immediately following Charlotte's moment of defiance, there was a discernible shift in the atmosphere within Westminster Abbey. After what had been a serious service that was deeply anchored in history, the atmosphere became fraught with tension that could be felt. Even though there were no obvious disruptions to the coronation event, those who were present noticed subtle changes in the manner in which prominent personalities carried themselves. Despite the fact that Camilla had approached the ceremony exuding the self-assurance that was commensurate with her new role as queen consort, she was visibly rattled following Charlotte's reaction, which was composed yet powerful. Observers observed that her grin became more strained, and that her posture became less secure as time went on. Those who were seated nearby witnessed Camilla's extremely guarded interactions with both Catherine and King Charles during the remainder of the ceremony, despite the fact that she demonstrated a public composure throughout the event. Catherine, on the other hand, exhibited an unwavering calmness in the face of the reprimand, which earned her the admiration of those who were present in silence. She maintained her concentration on her daughter and quietly soothed Charlotte while conveying a serene elegance. Catherine's increasing reputation as a calming force within the royal family was further solidified by her composed answer, which represented a stark contrast to Camilla's more combative approach. Charlotte, on the other hand, appeared to be largely unmoved by the tension that she had accidentally brought to light. The grace and maturity that had marked her previous answer continued to be mirrored in her manner throughout the remainder of the ceremony. As time went on, it became abundantly evident that her acts were not rash or childish, but rather a message that she had made on purpose. Those who were present at the time were left with a profound impression by her poise. Discussions on Camilla's function as queen consort were rekindled as a result of her behavior during the coronation. Despite the fact that many people had unwillingly accepted the title after years of turmoil regarding her connection with King Charles, the episode gave additional grist for detractors who view her ascent to prominence as representative of a monarchy that is resistant to change. Charlotte's defiant moment was perceived by some critics as a public reminder that respect within the royal family must be earned, rather than expected. They interpreted it as a rejection of Camilla's authority when she made her statement. Immediately following the incident, Camilla's role came under intense investigation. It would appear that her authority is something that is not universally acknowledged inside the royal household, and her relationship with Catherine in particular looks to be a cause of continual friction. It is possible that the episode with the coronation functioned as a catalyst, bringing more fundamental problems to the surface. Individuals with knowledge of the situation predict that Camilla may continue to experience difficulties in establishing her authority and preserving unity within the family. Inadvertently positioning Charlotte as a significant actor in the larger dynamics of the monarchy may have been the result of the activities that she took during the coronation. Despite the fact that her gesture was unobtrusive, it conveyed a great deal of information about her growing understanding of her position within the royal family. It is unusual for someone of her age to exhibit such a feeling of agency and independence, but she displayed it with poise and defiance. In a household where custom and convention are of the utmost importance, Charlotte's actions revealed that she is already capable of exerting influence over the narrative of the royal family, possibly to a greater extent than many people had imagined. Both her mother, Catherine, and her grandmother, Camilla, have become increasingly symbolic of the generational transformations that are taking place within the monarchy. Her relationship with both of them has grown increasingly significant. It was Charlotte's acts that brought to light the contrast between Catherine's calm and calming influence and Camilla's more contentious path to becoming queen consort. It is possible that this particular occasion may be recognized as a significant turning point in Charlotte's development into a powerful and autonomous royal figure. As Catherine's children continue to age, Charlotte's position as the second in line will only grow in prominence. Camilla's already challenging situation is made much more complicated by Charlotte's disobedience, which creates an additional layer of intricacy. Camilla, in her role as queen consort, is constantly confronted with the issue of establishing her position within the royal family while also maintaining her connections with other members of the family. A change in the way the monarchy views its future leadership could be indicated by Charlotte's tacit challenge to her power, which occurred at such a public and tragic moment. It serves as a reminder that the internal dynamics of the monarchy are not consistent, and that even the youngest members of the monarchy have the ability to have a voice in influencing the destiny of the monarchy. Charlotte has been thrown into the spotlight as a young princess who is expected to play a more prominent role in the years to come as a result of her activities at the coronation. In many respects, her actions have brought her into visibility. It remains to be seen whether or not she becomes a central character in the power play inside the monarchy. Nonetheless, the fact that she is gaining confidence indicates that she has the potential to influence the course of the family in a manner that goes against the conventional conventions.